So everyone happy that it's the community centre the general thoughts of everybody at the moment?
Yeah. Can I propose that then?
Okay, so can we all have a show of hands as to whether it's that money to use sometime? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next agenda item is the grounds maintenance subcommittee. Who's talking to that one?
Sure. Alan?
Yeah, we initially set out to do the invitation to tender again for the grounds maintenance subcontract. On digging out last year's, we actually found that we signed a contract that was for 1 year with a possible extension to 2 and 3 years. Given the learning curve that we've gone through in terms of getting the people up to speed, learning ourselves what needs to be done, I wanted to bring back to the council that we look at extending Buckland Landscapes for another year with the revised specification. We'll get them to re-quote on it, but rather than potentially throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we've built a relationship. They do what we want doing pretty much what we want it doing, and to try and gain the benefit of year 1 would be to use them for year 2, as was in the original contract that we signed last year.
I've read the document that Jill sent round. Colin?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. Can we just make sure because we're not going to know what to base the increase on, can we make sure that all the ad hoc stuff that we've paid them this year is totaled up and added on to...
Yeah,
right, so we know that when they quote for next year... Right, okay, excellent.
Leslie?
Yeah, I think that's well. So long as we've covered that, I think that's the most important.
I think gaining the time, as you quite rightly say, but I'd hate them to say, well, it's going to cost you another 600 quid.
We're going to ask them to they'll obviously have to re-quote because
yeah, of course.
Spec.
Yeah.
But we've been through everything I can find ad hoc, and there are some ad hoc things that will remain ad hoc.
Of course.
You know, if it's people fly tipping in on the footpaths.
No, I just meant the extra hedge trimming.
Yeah, that's
sort of stuff.
all in, and
okay.
I'll ask them to re-quote based on the spec that we walked around and discussed.
I think that's a very sensible suggestion. Anyone else got any comments or questions on that particular point? Okay, then.
So, motion is to agree to extend the current contractor for another year.
Yeah. So, you proposing that, Alan?
Yes.
Yeah, if can I just stop there? If, you've added all the ad hoc and it came to £7,800, and he said, well, the next year's contract's going to cost you 9,500, where do we sit? Do you come back to us, or do you just accept it with the motion as we extend it?
I will negotiate with them if that's what it needs to be, and I will come back to the council with what the result of that negotiation is.
Yes.
Can I just have that as a rider on that happens? Yeah,
Okay, so Alan, you're proposing the motion?
Yes.
Second it?
In favour?
Show of hands? The next item is dog matters. Is that you as well, Alan?
There is an undoubted need for still further dog refuse bins. Within the village, I've had one from a number of dog walkers say that they would like one around the bus shelter end of Stalebridge Road on that, to cover that end of the village. Particularly when people have come down the canal and they come down the road, they want one in that location.
Where it joins the main road, is that
yes.
Such?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I mean, from installing the last ones, the one thing we've learned is you install them in grass, you don't try and stick them in a footpath because it don't work. And you've got that area round by the bus shelter opposite the surgery and what have you, that's plenty big enough. So there's one there, and then that came. I was the only location I've been advised of where people have made a request for within the village as a whole. Do you still feel there's one need for one down your end of this?
I do, yeah.
So that's 2.
Can I perhaps ask that we put it out there into, I know we're talking about the motion to go retail meeting, but that's 2 proposed sites. Once we've got an agreement how much we want to spend on these, that we put it out to the parishioners as to where they would like to have these situated potentially.
Yeah, I've done.
No, you have.
I've done.
And we
I've
actually
done-
gathered, yeah.
all I've done is been in the park, dog walking, talking to dog walkers.
Which is fine for everyone who's walking their dogs in the park. And all I mean is, we're talking about people who aren't necessarily walking in the park. So other areas or other particular locations within the village that have high incidence of this, have we got any other anecdotal feedback, I suppose, is what we're looking at? And once we've agreed how many we're looking to budget for.
I suppose you could put something on Facebook, couldn't we, and ask for comments? That's where the comments on the bins, can't those? But that just means we're going to get 20 or 30 different people wanting in different locations, aren't we? That's the problem, I think.
We'll get some rare comments for that as well.
Could I suggest if we're going to do that, we put where our proposed sites are and ask if
Preferred option.
Otherwise, as you say, we're going to get.
Yeah, I want one at the end of my
It'd be
street,
ridiculous
Yeah,
We'll get them
because I want to go out and empty my bin into it and I don't want to have to walk.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Chairman. I think when you consult like that, yeah, you're going to get lots of different comments, but that's for us to interpret and decide. We're elected to decide what happens, so because 20 people want them in 20 different locations, that's fine, we've consulted and then we decide where we're going to put them.
Well, can we decide
So-
then? Sorry, Paul.
We can't please everybody, so...
No, no.
Susie.
I was going to say, can you, if you're going to go down that route, is it worth just putting an extra on the school flyer that every parent in the village then has had that information as well, so they're not checking the Facebook you've got out to people.
to school. So how many do we think, sorry, mate?
Sorry, in terms of that, I know we're saying you want them in every location, but it does then become an independent thing. We can always just adopt where the highest incidents are around the village, and we can put them where it's going to be best fit and best compromise on that feedback.
That's what we've done with the last 3.
Is it?
Okay, well, shall we decide then now, the council, how many more we think we should install? We've probably 2, haven't we? 2
I think
locations.
there's also a proposal for one in the north
There's,
park, wasn't there?
the proposal was for one
East, north,
in
east.
the vicinity, well, the wildflower meadow,
Just up here,
Yeah.
either this side of the bridge, the furthest
one
one.
either side.
Yes, yeah, one,
Yeah,
well, that
yeah.
far corner is we're
Yeah,
looking at
one
now,
far
top
corner,
left-hand
one, and similarly, there was a question about whether we should have one by the beach, because of the number of dogs that end up down there, and there's only a refuse bin there at the moment.
The only trouble is people playing around smelling normally.
No, I wouldn't want them by the beach because of the odour.
No, I'm on about whether, in the vicinity of where the rubbish bin is, because at the moment, there is, all that happens is, it gets put in the rubbish bin,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
as opposed to the dog poo bin with a lid on it.
Don't you think the one further away up the park, we put one towards that, you know, is there a monument in the corner, that little slabby
Well,
thing
used
that's
to be.
missing? Used to, you know. Out there, would that not cover that sort of,
What thing's missing? Say that again.
I don't know, slabby thing, isn't
There
it?
was a plaque.
That was
thing.
it,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
vandalised.
British Legion thing.
Well, yeah, then the guy took it away to repair it, didn't he? But he hasn't.
No, it's gone. The
not
the
called-
slab's
They
gone.
finished it.
but-
Anyway, can we
Sorry.
stick to the point that we're actually talking about, and not the slab?
4.
So should we say, is 4 a number that we think as a council is the right number?
2 in the park, 2 elsewhere.
£350 each to buy and about £150 a year for the emptying
What,
There
for the
is
whole
quite-
lot?
and
Per
cleaning.
bin?
Per each?
Per bin. So that's an increase, so it's going to be
£1,200.
£1,200, £1,400 to put the bins in, and then it's going to be another £600 to keep them clean.
Okay, 106,
Thank you, Chairman. You can put dog mess in a bin, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, a dog bin, it doesn't matter, Jim, I would guess, I don't know, apart from the smell.
You can, but Eamon complains to me every day about the dog mess in the regular bins, which he knows that it's allowable, but it's just miserable for
Okay.
him.
Second point is there's lots of companies that empty dog bins, so as long as they have a licence to do it, you don't have to go with AVDC, because with another hat and another council, we found they were a bit expensive and found an alternative, so don't feel you have to go with AVDC, you know, are they competitive? I
That's
don't
a
know.
good idea. Well, it's, okay, so I think we should agree that we'll look at that, other companies. and see if we can get some quotes from other companies to do it to reduce that cost. But as a council, are we happy to incur those costs for 4 bins?
I believe we should be, because I don't think we have an option.
I think it's important. I think the village has got a lot of dog fouling. and I
Yeah.
think the more bins.
Yeah, but then can we not, we try, but then why can't we try and educate people? Take it home with them, you know. We're spending good money for people and it's still being abused, you know, so people
Yeah.
need to be educated.
It might be putting hanging baskets up soon.
I didn't quite catch it this morning, I missed it on the radio, I don't know if anyone else heard it. They were interviewing the district council of Northamptonshire, and I believe that they're introducing a law that says, or a bylaw or whatever it is, that they will fine you if you're out with a dog without a bag, whether or not the dog's foul.
Yeah.
Good luck with enforcing that.
Liberties.
Well, we could, I mean,
We've got CCTV, but we can't use it, is that?
They are enforcing.
Chairman, I think, you just alluded to the part about bylaws. The whole proposition with regards to bylaws isn't necessarily about ultimately the enforcement, but the fact that we could theoretically and set a legal precedent. And one of the things that I've experienced on a couple of occasions when I've been down here midway through the day, where dog walking is becoming more of a commercial activity. Let me give you a particular example. 2 cars pulled up adjacent to one another, 5 dogs got out the back of each car, it was pouring down with rain. They walked diagonally across both football pitches, up as far as the playground, and walked back again, all 10 dogs off of leads. There's absolutely nowhere at all that, one, the dogs were under control, nor that either of the dog walkers would have been running around after 10 dogs. Now we keep saying, educating people in the villages, people tend to have more pride in their own environment, and you'd hope that that's a shame we've got some responsible villagers, but there are an increasing number of people who are coming in to walk dogs on a commercial basis, and as I said before, I think one of the things we should not disregard, but perhaps review bylaws. In a lot of the London boroughs, Wandsworth is a particular example, there are bylaws in place that can limit the number of dogs that can be walked by an individual, so we remove the inability to keep an eye on what's going on. And I think the other part of this is not just dog mess, but also actually control of dogs. As it becomes increasingly commercially popular, the next incident potentially could be that you're walking 5 dogs off of leads, and we have an incident with children and things like that. Dogs have a pack mentality. How well do the dog walkers actually know these dogs who are being walked for an hour a day or whatever else? And I think that there is a possibility, in terms of not the enforcement route, but the education, with the opportunity to back it up with legal precedent, to consider bylaws that we might wish to introduce, and also
I have to take that action away to look at that and see what that's.
I would agree wholeheartedly with that. I think it should be a maximum of 3 dogs.
So do I.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll look at that. Okay, so can we go back to the motion, please, which is to agree how many dog bins are still in the village and where. I think we've agreed.
Can we just halve that amount, and then perhaps everybody, can we do perhaps one more, this is just a suggestion, because I can see that the costs escalating. If we did the one on the corner of State Bridge Road, and perhaps just another one in the park at present, just to see, because 4 does seem, although I'm very anti-dog food, I do feel that we are perhaps
And too much, yeah.
Perhaps, I agree, perhaps we are putting too much focus on it, but I think, could we, rather than make a judgment in terms of exactly how many, put provision for a minimum, and then the final decision to be based on anecdotal feedback that we get from the villagers, and how much demand there is for this, and how important it is to them, because we are here to serve the village after all, and it is high on their priority list. So why don't we consider what they have and just how many people are prepared to voice their opinion before making a final decision. Could we agree a minimum with a view to then potentially extending that subject to feedback?
We can always bring another motion there, can't we, any time to extend the number of dog bins that we want to. We haven't got to do it in one particular meeting, so we could just agree what Leslie said and stick to the 2 for now, because the cost isn't so bad.
And then still do the feedback thing.
Yes.
And see
Yeah.
what, well,
And possibly do another motion in March.
So, yeah, resume 6 months. rule or regulations. You can't bring it back on for 6 months.
Well, it depends what you agree now.
Well, in which case,
If you agree a minimum,
and the maximum.
then you're, well, yeah, you could do that. If you agree a minimum, then you're allowing yourself to increase.
Yeah,
If you,
okay.
There is a standing order, I can't remember the number, that says if 2 councillors sign a request for a
Yeah, you can
motion,
bring the motion
we
again,
can turn
yeah.
over the 6-month rule.
yeah.
Okay, well, I would suggest that we go for the, what Lizzie suggests, that we just stick with 2 for now, but we have the thing put on Facebook and the flyers to say if we want them located, although we think in our mind that we can make the final decision for us, we are the elected council. So we can ask for feedback, but if we don't think the feedback is working, we can override that, can't we?
When we're doing this motion, can we, there are 2 sites mainly in the park that are really bad, but I think the new down the bottom there, because a lot of these dog walkers come along, and the poo bin adjacent to the all-weather pitch is always the one that's hanging over. So I think if we had one down lower, because there are no bins in that area whatsoever.
Yeah, there's one along the fence, isn't there?
No,
I don't
I'm
think
talking right down the bottom.
I don't think we'll make a decision about exactly
Okay.
located
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I think let's
Okay.
agree the number, and
Okay.
we'll assess the feedback we get and then decide.
Could I suggest we just defer the motion, let's
Yes.
maps,
What you just
and
said.
go away and do some homework on it, further homework, and bring it back to another meeting?
Okay, we
Because it's fairly quickly, they're not difficult to organise.
No. Well, then we need to, I think, put something on Facebook or somewhere about it
Yeah.
to get some feedback
Yeah.
from the village.
But just let them know,
So can
not
we-
present the motion.
So can we just agree? So can we take the motion, let the motion lapse for now, but agree that we will, which doesn't need a motion,
Yeah.
that we put something on Facebook to say where do we want these bins
And
located.
in Susie's Friday flyer thing.
Yeah.
Well, can we have a motion from Mike about the dog company? Is that just,
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
need a
going to
motion?
go, doesn't need a
It
motion.
doesn't need a motion.
Then I'm going to,
Okay.
because we need some research first. I'm
All
going to
right.
do research because we don't know enough about it. We can't agree to
Okay.
change the bylaw. We need to understand how we can change the bylaw, what we have to do, what the
Okay,
process is
all right.
before, which I'll find out about.
Are we
Okay,
deferring then?
so we're deferring that motion, yeah. Okay, the next agenda item is village matters, the adoption of street lighting, Chapel Drive and Burware Homes. Who was talking to that? Our street lighting expert,
Well, I think it
Toby?
could be, unless Leslie wants to jump in there.
We're talking about adopting street lights.
We are,
Yeah.
yeah. because-
I did the research, I contacted 8 different parish councils, and they all said, they were all of the same opinion, don't jump in before you're pushed, don't, but that's, okay, I'm just saying.
No, thank you. Can I just respond to that? The research, I think, is what I would expect if somebody came along to and asked our clerk, for example, if they've had bad experiences. I've thought about this since my initial reaction was we shouldn't adopt. I have to say I've now changed my mind. Not just because Alan's nodding his head, but the reality is that if you look at Chapel Drive, the plan they've given us, the 7 new street lamps, they're there as a service to the residents. They are our residents. As long as we make provision, and I haven't seen a financial suggestion from the developers, that the life of a street lamp should be, a pole should be 10 or 15 years, so therefore very little maintenance in that respect. If you look at the incidence of lamp replacement on Elaine's or the latest invoices, it's pretty low, and it's £60 to £70 each. So even if you had to replace every lamp every year, which is unlikely because low voltage lamps have a very long life, we're talking about a very de minimis sum. And I know Alan has mentioned it in the past, is that when you're a resident here, you're paying to the precept, therefore you expect the council to step up. So that's the way I'm leaning. Pardon the pun. It's obviously something to be voted on. But can I just be clear, Jill, have we seen any suggestion other than the chap at ABDC chasing us? There hasn't been anything from the developer saying,
No.
we hereby offer you X, because Leslie's research had thrown up that developers in the past had paid £300 per lamppost installed
discussed?
for ongoing maintenance.
When we met with Bellway Homes,
That's what I was going to ask.
What we discussed was the design of it. And My point was that if we adopt them, we will have more influence over the type of light that you get installed there, which I think is quite important. Others want tall poles sticking around, we want them as low as possible and to blend in with the thing. So if we adopt it, we'll have a good say on what we get.
We also want LEDs.
Yeah,
they cost
exactly,
nothing to
LED.
run. They're 10-year light-head life minimum, and they cost nothing to run. So the actual cost
Is
to
on
the
the
village
installation.
is nothing.
Paul?
Thank you, Chairman. Interesting, because we said in a recent meeting that we didn't want to adopt land from the developers, but we now want to adopt light.
I think there's a
Is
distinction.
there a difference?
I think there is a distinction.
Because land requires ongoing maintenance, there's health and safety issues with ponds and everything else. A pole is a pole that doesn't need a lot of attention, in my view.
Okay.
Right.
What have we done with the existing developments that have already taken place in the village? Are there already areas that we haven't adopted?
We've never
For
been
lighting.
asked.
We haven't been on the stable bridge, they never
No,
asked
no,
us.
There hasn't been.
We don't know what they're doing.
They must be keeping themselves up, don't they?
We
They haven't been asked
know.
before, it's the first time I'm aware of anything else.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in future, so who would they expect to approach? That would be,
It comes through ABDC, doesn't it?
ABDC planning,
That's who's
who it comes
approached
from.
us.
If they
on
build another
Chapel Drive.
700 houses in Aston Clinton and we have to foot the bill for all the street lighting, that's going to be...
Well,
Well, we
yes,
have
you
to
say
think
that, but
about
then
it,
exactly,
don't we?
it's self-funding, isn't it? Because it comes from precept.
Yeah.
Leslie?
Can I just clarify a point then? Why did the previous council, I think you were at a meeting, there was a street lamp that was knocked out on that top road,
Yeah.
upper at Newt, and the previous council didn't want to replace it, and I thought it was an astronomical sum.
It was several £1,000s.
So why are we
Well, I got some-
talking...
I got some replacement costs, it's a related matter from Sharps today,
Okay,
that
I
to
just
put-
don't understand if...
Maybe I've been geek, sorry. You're talking about, for a telegraph pole, something like £325, and an aluminium or steel pole, £345. So
Makes no sense, does
it's
make
not,
sense,
it's
no.
not expensive. I mean,
No.
and
Oh.
the saving comes if you go to, as Alan has said, if you go to LED,
Mm.
they just they consume so little power,
Yes.
and I think that that's where it'll balance.
And that's where, I mean, Colin's point of if you adopt them, you have the influence. If you don't, you don't. And I'm still very, very concerned about this creation of a two-tier village. It really does concern me.
So we need to vote on motion to agree our response. So,
Can I just suggest we may need to modify whatever the motion says? Oh no, sorry, it's to agree a response. I would suggest the response is that I
We're thinking about it.
investigate what the contribution is and what influence we have over the design,
okay,
and ask those two questions, whether it's Jill or myself or...
okay, I think that's it, Mike.
Can I just have one final question? Running costs.
Yeah.
So who pays for those at the
We
moment?
paid, do you mean that literally the power?
Yes.
We paid for the power.
Irrespective of
Mm.
whether or not they are
I'm not
adopted by us.
that.
Yes.
No.
No, sorry, that we paid for the power for our own, the poles, whatever.
Could I clarify that and say that the precept payers are paying for the power?
But we pay the bills on a monthly basis to
So we
them.
obviously get an
But
increased bill.
it's not metered.
Get a
It's an unmetered supply.
Do we get an increased precept per more streetlights we have?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's,
That's why I'm saying it's
It's
self-financing.
so it's
It's a
covered.
lump sum payment as well, it's not a...
AVDC do want an answer, that's the only thing.
Well, that's,
Well, maybe we...
if people are agreed, I will answer by asking two questions.
I think that's
Jill wants to know whether we're going to adopt it or not.
That's what they want to know.
That would be my
But
that would be
first,
my motion.
you,
Can I add one further
Shouldn't
thing,
wait till
and
January.
not to sway the argument at all, but with regards to an incident on Beaconsfield Road that I've raised with an elderly resident who noted 3 lights, she then actually called back to comment on how pleased she was with how quickly they were picked up and how quickly that issue was resolved and amended. It did make a real difference actually to a local resident, the fact that we were able to pick it up, and Tony very kindly responded very quickly. I had so many emails in one evening, but very, very quickly. And within, I think it was 2 or 3 days, 2 of them have been fixed, with the other 2 parts to be ordered, which I think are now fully working. So she actually made the effort of coming back and commenting
So if we need to make a decision then, can we say that subject to, sorry, John?
I'm just going to ask, can we qualify what our answer is, that if indeed they become LED, we will adopt them?
I think there's a statute, an overriding statute, that they have to be LED.
I think there is now, yeah.
I think that's the way, not only Bucks, but nationally, there is a programme of even replacing current lights, which is something we're going to do as a maintenance aspect, but it's a point well made.
I went to the meeting on the highways a few months ago. I don't think that is true to in the sense it has to be. I think they choose it because after a lot of the time, as Alan said, it goes down to the developer to put the cost in, and then they save, if you like, on the fact.
Then
that
I'll ask
it
three
is
questions.
power.
Then.
Can we,
But-
we're not making any progress on this really. I think
We've got two more motions to get through.
so can we agree then that, I mean, it sounds like we have to have ABDC give us a deadline for decision.
I think, yeah, it's because I think I was supposed to have asked you this before, so they're now waiting for the decision.
So do we make a decision subject to Toby giving us the correct information?
Well,
Yeah,
I
think
don't
so.
know that we actually have to wait. I think at the same, well, let's put it. I think we put it to the
Right,
vote.
let's put it to a
Yeah,
vote then.
put it to the vote.
Put it to a
Adopt
vote
or
now.
not adopt? Is that where
yeah.
we're going to go?
So who would agree to adopt the street lights?
Opposed, sorry.
I can't make my mind up, so I'm abstaining.
Is it not, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so who's going to propose, Toby?
Yes.
I'll second it. And who's objecting?
I'm saying.
Okay.
Two of us abstaining.
Okay. And the next motion we have to agree is to recommendation these overhanging trees at Green Park Lodge. And obviously where the owner of the land has written to us asking us to cut the trees back. We have looked at this before. We need to now make a decision what we're going to do. He's going to keep on hassling us until we give him a response.
It's a meeting of your duty of care on the one side and the fact that they are TPO'd, but you can obviously get permission to doctor them. Where do we stand on this? If something you've all seen the photographs, they are leaning.
Trees do tend to lean occasionally.
They are leaning significantly.
But they're sound. The
Are
guys.
you sure?
Yeah, the guy's been up there with Norman, and he's quite happy that those trees are sound. But he's not an arborist specialist to be able to write it down. But they're not tilted significantly in the last. Lynn, can I ask you about those trees? Have you noticed any significant change in those trees over the years?
I
Right
wouldn't,
at
I
that
wouldn't
top.
really, I'm not I haven't really looked, so I wouldn't like to comment.
Okay,
If
okay, fair enough. But from all I've seen, they've always been like that. And
I've been up there and had a climb around them.
yeah, the only thing I would do, as I said, is
Get the ivy off them.
get the ivy off to stop the wind resistance in the top layers.
Yeah. And I
And that's it.
So what's the general view of the council on that?
What's the cost of getting a arboriculturist report
It's £450
for a single tree?
Yeah.
Per tree?
Yeah.
And then you've got to
Yeah.
apply for
So-
if you do anything to trees, you've got to take the tree
And
preservation.
I suspect that they'll say,
Consent.
we can't make a decision until you've got rid of the ivy.
Yeah. So can we therefore agree a motion that from that we do nothing we don't cut the trees down, but we do, so we propose the motions here, or propose a motion we do not cut the trees down. It's the general view of the people here tonight. But that we look, but obviously not need a motion for this, but Colin will go and look at the ivy.
I'll bring the ivy off. I'll
Yeah,
change it.
Colin will take the ivy off.
Or do you want to get
I don't.
a contract
It's
to do
half
it?
an hour's job with the chainsaw.
It's-
around it, I don't know.
A lot of ivy.
Yeah, all you
Colin's
do
just
is.
volunteered. Let's not debate it.
I'll
Colin's
just take a
volunteered.
2 foot section out of it and let it die. I won't take it off, it'll just die.
With all due respect, it's Colin and Shaw to
Just
do the work.
exactly that.
Well, with myself, then if no one else is around, that's fine.
What possible insurance risk is there? I'm
Yeah.
putting his own leg off.
Correct.
Well, I've got a friend who, I know two friends who've had bad accidents falling off ladders with chainsaws recently. But
Mm.
if
Well, if you want me to write a letter, say if I shut my finger off the chainsaw while I'm doing it, I won't sue the council.
That'll do.
I'm quite happy to sign it.
That'll do.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly concerned about it.
Oh, I'm climbing up the tree.
Anyway, enough of these. Can we agree to agree a response to the overhanging trees that we will not be cutting the trees down? Are we happy to propose that?
I'll propose that. I'll second it.
You have a vote on that motion, please?
Yeah.
So everyone voted yes, bar Mike, is that right? And John? You voted yes? Okay. All right, the last agenda item is the Community Centre Subcommittee. Toby?
Yeah, feedback on fundraising. I think I've reported at previous meetings that our initial target, based on the plans that we had and the specification that was costing for the new homes bonus grant, is about £2.25 million. Sounds like a lot, but we're getting about 3 times the space that we currently have, and all singing, all dancing. Facilities which I think will appeal to everybody. The new homes bonus decision is going to be ratified at the end of December, but we've had a very positive steer from the funds, the grants officer, that we could actually secure the £500,000 that we applied for. We applied for £500,000 hoping that we would probably get £250,000. So it takes us a good step towards our total target, and we have visibility, and I know we've talked about whether S106 money comes from the Longbourn, etc. We have visibility of about 50% of the cost already, and when we started this in June, I thought we had a mountain to climb. So just in 6 months, it's looking at far more achievable than we dare hoped, and we have to look at other sources of funding, because we know, for example, some 106 money might not come through, but to be that advanced now is encouraging. We can't yet put some timescales to when it would be delivered, but it certainly looks like it could be early 17 rather than anything later, and that's, I think, is generally good news. A contingency for alternative use of Section 106, Jill, I'm not sure, is that if we don't spend it
That
on the
was something
pavilion?
that Mike was interested
It was
in.
just understanding how the mechanics of S106 work. So, as you say, it's just to ensure that in the event, not necessarily, although that seems the obvious one because of that's been set aside for it, but just to understand the mechanics and to be certain that
I'll look into that.
it's
I
not
will.
at risk.
Yeah.
I will look at
No, I agree.
I will look at what happens to
know
106
that.
money if it doesn't get spent on something,
Yeah.
because it doesn't happen. I'll find out.
Sure. Linked to the funding, formation of the steering group is just a little bit of a party outside of the committee that can look at funding and using the skills of councillors that have already been through that process. And it's open to anybody who's interested. But I think we've already spoken to Mike and Paul about using some of their previous experiences. But as I said, that the findings of that and the ideas will then feed into the subcommittee, which obviously will feed into. So it's no one's being excluded. It's just best use of time. So, but please shout if anybody wants to be involved in that. The cafe, just a progress update. Elaine and myself met with the cafe last week just to find out how they're going. I think it's plain to see that anybody that visits that it's been well used, and not just for people popping in and having the odd meal, but the regular events, the soft play that they have set up themselves. They've invested in that. They've bought the equipment, and it runs, I think, every day, wasn't it, Elaine? Or more or less, sorry, 5 days a week. About a third of their revenue is coming from renting out event space, so the rooms, parties, etc. And what's quite encouraging after 5 months of trading is that they are almost to a pound on target with their first year forecast of £250,000 worth of turnover, which translates into £25,000 of income to the council. So we feel pretty confident that they're the right people, they're doing a good job, and I think they go from strength to strength. I personally haven't heard any bad comments about them.
No, normally.
I've personally gone in specifically 2 or 3 occasions, and I've got very, very favourable feedback. They're good, they're quick, they're clean, and they're giving value. And
Yeah.
I think you'll find, as word gets around, that they'll thrive.
Yeah.
Mm.
And one very important point that the grants officer made to me is that they're coming back to us with a couple of questions on sustainability of our business plan. And if we didn't have a tenant or anyone in operation, we'd have nothing to base it on.
Mm.
So they are our, our test pilots in some respects, because we can say we've now had 6 months of trade, we're very confident in our projections, therefore the business plan is solid.
Yeah. There's one, sorry.
Sorry, can I just ask for clarity? That 25,000 projection, is that on top of their standard rental as well?
No, that's
It's
they pay it based
based
on it. So if they did £250,000, we would receive 25,000. So it's the greater of the base rent or 10% of turnover.
Okay, there's one motion here too. Sorry, any other comments on what Toby?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Craft market request. Sorry.
So,
Yeah, I don't mind talking about that. They have been approached by a craft market. I did send around a thing, didn't I?
Yes.
It's very nice stuff. It's not tapped. It's really nicely done. They want to have a monthly event there, which in the spring and summer months they would want to spill out with marquees and gazebos and so on onto the field. Now, at the last facilities meeting, we did say that for marquees that were going up for private parties and anything commercial, we would make a charge, and we said £100 an event because we felt that was how much it would cost to make good the ground afterwards and so on. Did you want to make a charge for them to do that? And then
We did talk to the operators about that last week, and they fully expect to pass it on. That if it's outside of the terrace, then it would be the cost to the operator, not to the cafe.
I think that's fine. I think we should continue to charge £100 then.
Okay.
Presumably that's then a direct relationship with you issuing a permit or something like
Yes.
Well, these are things that used to do.
rather than the council. Sorry, the
Yeah.
cafe operator could charge it, but it's further admin, isn't it? It's up to you as to what's most efficient.
No, I won't deal with the craft market. I'll deal with the cafe.
Okay.
So we need to, the motion on here, the last motion is to agree a response to hold the craft, to hold regular craft markets. Is it,
So that's, the motion is yes and...
or either a yes or a no, so,
Yes, they can, but it costs them £100.
Yeah,
to-
Yeah.
that's the motion.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll reword it.
yeah, so I'll propose that.
Do
Second it.
we have to put in place a minimum times, not as in, but a maximum time scale subject to review on this? I don't know if there's a
You know, for 6 months or something.
Something
We'll
like that.
look at it.
We do have the protection that we can serve notice on the cafe operator at any time.
But I'm not thinking this, I'm just thinking this particular event rather than
But
necessarily.
the craft market wouldn't operate without the cafe, would it?
No, what you mean is
Couldn't.
terminate, stop them doing the craft market, but keep
Yes.
the cafe, keep the tenants there.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we want to have just some sort of control mechanism so that we can
Grant
easily
initial period of
revisit it?
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In case it suddenly becomes like Camden Market or something.
Yeah,
Oh, my
that's
goodness.
exactly right. Yeah. There's 40 people there, can we charge them £100? Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Those, we vote in favour of that motion, please?
Yep.
Everyone in favour?
Okay,
Okay.
well done.
Okay.
Can I just talk about the date for the next meeting is the 6th of January, but what we are going to do is we're going to have the F&S meeting directly before at 6:30, and that will be the meeting at which we agree the precept, which then will be forwarded on to the Parish Council meeting.
So 6th of December, 6th of January we're going
Yeah.
for.
So F&S at 6:30,
And council at
7:30 as
7:30.
usual.
So just for me to close this, just a different point, I just thought I'd ask, are we responsible for the clock at the top school?
Yes, and I have started to make, I know it's stopped, hasn't it? I did ring one person today, and that was hopeless. So I'm probably going to go back to who we've used in the past, even though they have to come down from Derby to do it.
Can we try? Isn't there a clock person up by Tring Station? There's a little sign.
The horologist on Tring High Street.
No,
No, by the
by the
station, you're right, there
station.
is. There is some right there.
On Station Road.
There is some, I don't know what it's called, but I've seen it.
There's a horologist.
Yeah, they do watches.
Do they don't have clocks?
Well,
I think he does, yeah, he does, yeah.
I've certainly shown that, I've certainly had someone on my grandfather clock came in the service of the organising, did it immaculately, I'll dig out the name of it. Who do I know?
Julie. Okay, are there any other points discussed before I close the meeting? We're not doing this evening the second lot of participation from the public. We need to close the meeting at 8 o'clock. Is there any other points? Can I close the meeting?
You can do, Chairman.
Excellent. Thank you all very much.
Have a mince pie on your way out.